Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 2 of class 12 macroeconomics, money and banking. Before I ask you anything, just imagine this. Tomorrow morning you wake up and suddenly all the money in India disappears. No cash, no UPI, no debit cards, no bank balance, no online payments, only goods remain. Now imagine you are hungry and go to a nearby bakery. You ask for a loaf of bread. The shopkeeper says, "Sure, but what will you give me in return? You don't have money anymore." So you offer your school bag. He says, "I don't need a school bag." Then you offer your watch. He says, "I already have one." Finally, you return home without buying anything. Now think carefully. Would life become difficult? Absolutely. This is exactly why money is one of the important inventions in human history. But here's the interesting question. If money is so important today, how did people buy and sell things before money existed? This is exactly what we'll learn in today's class. We'll begin with the barter system, understand why it failed, see how many money evolved over time, and finally discuss the qualities that make money useful. By the end of the lesson, you will not only understand the chapter but also appreciate why even a simple 10 rupee note represents a revolutionary idea in economics. Now there is a question for you that you can think. If money disappeared for just one day, what would be the biggest problem you would face? Okay, so what is money? We should understand the meaning of money. If I ask you what is money, many of you will immediately say currency notes. That's correct, but that is not the complete answer. So money is anything that people generally accept in exchange for goods and services. Notice the words generally accepted. For example, if you go to a grocery store and give the shopkeeper a 100 rupee note, they will accept it. If you scan a UPI QR code and pay through your phone, the shopkeeper will also accept it. If you use your debit card, that's accepted too. But if you offered your school notebook instead of money, would the shopkeeper accept it? Probably not. That is why not everything has the status of money. The most important feature of money is generally acceptability. Today, money exists in many forms: cash, coins, bank deposits, digital payments such as UPI, mobile wallets, and cards. Remember this definition. Money is anything that is generally accepted as a medium of exchange. This line is often asked in the exams. So there is a memory trick that you can remember for money, that is GAME, game. G, generally, A, accepted, M, medium of, E, exchange. Now, here's an interesting question. Has money always existed? The answer is no. Thousands of years ago, people didn't have currency notes, coins, banks, or digital payments. Instead, they used something called the barter system. The barter system means exchanging one good or service directly for another without using money. For example, imagine you are a farmer. You grow rice, but your shoes are torn. You go to the village cobbler and say, "I'll give you 20 kg of rice if you make me a pair of shoes." The cobbler agrees and the exchange takes place. No money is used. Now imagine a fisherman who catches fish every day. He needs vegetable. He exchanges fish with the vegetable seller. Again, no money is involved. At first, this sounds simple and practical. But as societies become larger and trade increased, the barter system created many problems. Can you think of those? So those problems eventually led to invention of money. In the next slide, we'll explore the biggest challenge of the barter system, the famous concept of double coincidence of wants, which is one of the important concepts in this chapter. Now there's a question for you. If you had only apples but wanted a bicycle, how would you convince the bicycle owner to accept apples? Now let's ask ourselves one important question. If the barter system was working, then why did people invent money? The answer is simple. It created too many practical problems. Imagine you are living in a village where there is no money. Every single thing has to be exchanged with another thing. Sounds simple, right? Let's test it. Suppose you have 10 kgs of wheat. You need a pair of shoes. You go to the cobbler. The cobbler says, "I don't need wheat, I need milk." What will you do? You'll find someone who wants wheat and is willing to give you milk. Then you'll go back to the cobbler Can you see how complicated this becomes? And this is only one example. People also faced problems in deciding the value of goods. How many kgs of rice should equal to one bicycle? How many mangoes should equal one mobile phone? There was no common unit to compare values. Another problem was storing wealth. Suppose you were rich because you owned 500 kgs of potatoes. Could you store them for years? No, they would rot. So wealth could not be stored safely. And finally, imagine borrowing 100 coconuts today and promising to return them after 1 year. What if the coconuts spoiled? What if the quality changed? This made future payments extremely difficult. These problems become so serious that people began searching for a better system. That better system was money. So here's a board tip for you. If the board asks why was the barter system replaced, don't write only one point, write at least 4 difficulties with examples. Now, this is the most famous problem of barter system. The name sounds quite difficult. Double coincidence of wants. But the idea is actually very simple. Let's understand it with a story. Imagine Rohan is a farmer. He grows wheat. Now Rohan needs a pair of shoes. He goes to the cobbler. Rohan says, I'll give you wheat, please give me shoes. Cobbler replies, I don't need wheat, I need milk. Now Rohan has a problem. He must find a dairy farmer who wants wheat. Only after getting milk he can return to cobbler and finally get his shoes. Can you imagine how much time this would take? This is exactly what economists call double coincidence of wants. It means both people must want what the other person has at the same time. Even if one person's wants does not match, the exchange cannot happen. Now compare this with today's world. You go to a shoe shop. You don't ask for the shopkeeper whether they want wheat, rice or milk. You simply pay 2000 rupees and buy the shoes. Money removes the need for matching wants. That's why money is called as medium of exchange. So whenever you define double coincidence of wants, always explain with the farmer and cobbler example. Examiners appreciate examples. So double coincidence means both must agree, both people must want what each other's goods. Now there's a question for you. Imagine you have a bicycle and want a laptop. Would barter work easily? Why or why not? Think about it for 5 seconds. Then we'll move to the next slide. So double coincidence of wants was not the only problem. There were 3 more major difficulties. First, no common measure of value. Suppose you have a goat and I have a bicycle. How do we decide whether one goat equals to one bicycle? There was no common measuring unit. Today, money saves the problem. A goat may cost 8,000 rupees and bicycle 8,000 rupees. Easy comparison. Secondly, difficulty in storing wealth. Imagine you earn 500 bananas. Can you save them for 5 years? No, they will spoil. The same happens with vegetables, fruits and milk. But money can be stored in banks for years. Third, difficulty in deferred payments. Suppose I borrow 100 mangoes from you today and promise to return them after 1 year. Will the mangoes remain fresh? Of course not. Even their quality and value may change. Money solves this problem because it is standard unit for future payments. These 3 problems along with double coincidence of wants clearly show why the barter system could not survive as economies become large. So there is a memory trick. D square S square. So D double coincidence, other D deferred payment, S storage problem and S standard of value missing. Now let's see how money evolved over thousands of years. Money didn't appear overnight. It changed gradually as society developed. Stage 1. The barter system. People exchanged goods directly. As we just learned, this created many problems. Recall the problems? Stage 2. Commodity money. People started using commonly accepted goods such as cattle, salt, grains, shells and even tea leaves as money. Why? Because many people were willing to accept them. Stage 3. Metal coins. Later gold, silver and copper coins become popular. They were durable, easy to carry and had recognized value. Stage 4. Paper currency. As trade expanded, carrying heavy coins became inconvenient. Governments introduced paper currency. This made transaction easier and safer. Stage 5, bank money. People started keeping money in banks. Instead of carrying cash, they used checks and bank deposits. Stage 6, digital money. Today, many of us don't even carry cash. We simply scan a QR code using UPI, pay with debit card, or transfer money online. Think about your own experience. How many times have you seen someone pay by scanning a QR code at a local shop? This shows that money continues to evolve with technology. The form of money has changed over time, but its main purpose remains the same, to make exchange easier. So far, we have learned why the barter system failed, double coincidence of wants, the difficulties of barter, this complete evolution of money from barter to digital payment. Now imagine that you have been asked to design a new currency for India. Would you print it on tissue paper? No. Would you make it as heavy as brick? Again, no. So what quality should a good money have? Let's understand them one by one. First one, generally acceptable. The first and most important quality is generally acceptable. Money should be accepted by everyone. For example, if you go to a grocery shop with 100 rupee note, the shopkeeper accepts it without asking questions. That's why it works as money. Number 2, durable. Money should last for a long time. Imagine if currency notes dissolved in water after one use, or coins broke into pieces every week. Would they be useful? Of course not. Money should remain useful for a long period. Third one is portable. Portable means easy to carry. Imagine buying a mobile phone worth 20,000 rupees using a sack of wheat. That would be impossible. A few currency notes or a UPI method is much easier. Number 4, divisible. Money should be divided into smaller units. Suppose you have 500 rupee note but want to buy a chocolate worth 20 rupee. You can easily get change. Imagine if money could not be divided. Every purchase would be so difficult. Number 5, homogeneous. Homogeneous means all units of money of the same denominations are identical. Every 100 rupee note has the same value. You never ask, can I exchange this 100 rupee note because it looks different? Number 6, recognizable. Money should be easy to identify. People should quickly know whether it's a genuine or fake currency. That's why currency notes have security features like watermark and security thread. Number 7, stability in value. Money should not lose its value suddenly. If 100 rupees bought grocery today but one biscuit tomorrow, people would stop trusting money. Stability helps people save and plan for future. In the exam, don't just list the characteristics, write one line explaining each with an example. So generally acceptable, durable, portable, divisible, homogeneous, recognizable, and stable in value. Now let's compare the two systems. In the barter system, goods are exchanged directly for other goods. In the money system, goods are exchanged for money. In barter, you first have to find someone who wants what you have. That's the problem of double coincidence of wants. With money, this problem disappears because money is accepted by everyone. Storing wealth was so difficult in barter because goods like fruits and vegetables spoil over time. Money, on the other hand, can be safely kept in the bank or digital accounts. Future payments become much easier because we agree on a fixed amount of money instead of uncertain quantities of goods. This comparison clearly shows why the money system replaced the barter system. There's a question before we proceed further. If someone offers to pay your school fee with 200 kg of potatoes instead of money, would your school accept it? Why or why not? Now let me share a few board exam tips. The biggest mistake students make is writing only definitions. Economics is a subject of concepts. If you explain each answer with simple examples, your answer becomes much stronger. For example, while explaining double coincidence of wants, always use a farmer and cobbler story. While explaining portability, compare carrying cash with carrying sacks of wheat. These examples show how the examiner that you understood the concept instead of memorizing it. Also, always underline important keywords like medium of exchange, general acceptability, double coincidence of wants. These small presentation techniques improve readability. Let's revise everything in 1 minute. We started by understanding what money is and why it is generally accepted. Then we traveled back in time to the barter system and see how people exchanged goods directly. We understood the biggest problem, double coincidence of wants, along with other difficulties like lack of common measure of value, difficulty in storing wealth, and problems with deferred payment. Then we saw how money evolved from barter to commodity money, coins, paper currency, bank money, and finally digital money. Finally, we discussed 7 characteristics of good money. If these concepts are clear, you have built a strong foundation for the rest of the chapter. Congratulations, you have completed part 1 of money and banking chapter. I hope you have now understood not just the definition but also the logic behind why money became such an important invention. Before you leave, here's today's challenge. Imagine you were living in the barter system. What one item would you exchange to buy your favorite food? Would you exchange books, clothes, fruits, or something else? Write your answer in the comments. I read your comments regularly and it's always interesting to see your creative ideas. If this video helped you, don't forget to like the video, share it with your classmates, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the part 2. In the next video, we will learn about functions of money and supply of money, 2 topics that are extremely important for CBSE board exams and CUET. Until then, keep learning, keep revising, and remember, economics becomes easy when you understand the why behind every concept. See you in the next class. Till then, bye bye, keep learning.